Welcome back. I'm talking to Bill Maloney about institutional child abuse. Now then, Bill, let's run through your films. What was the first film that you made that was covering this particular issue?
Well, the first film I made, I went to. I made a film. Actually, it was a drama, and it was called Lunatic. And Lunatic was about a guy whose life was, revolved around the full moon, the moon cycle, because the moon is a very powerful, entity, if you like. And when you think about it, the moon is it's responsible for our highest tides. When there's a full moon, that's when you get your highest tides.
Yep.
Okay, so our bodies are sort of 84% water. So I always believed that it affected us, and you find that a woman's premenstrual cycle is exactly the same as the full moon, every 28 days, So I made this film, and this guy, it was like a gangster film, but it was a gangster without a gun. And there was a lot of social issues involved in it. So this film was chosen to be entered for the New York Independent Film and Video Festival,
right? And
that was in Greenwich Village. So I went out to represent that film. And
how long was the film?
The film, it was 90 minutes, but it was a drama.
Full length.
Oh yeah, it was a full length feature. That was the first feature I made after, most film directors, they start off in the short film industry and then they build up. So that was my first piece of work. And
so what sort of budget did that have then, Bill? Was it like a low budget film?
Yeah, that was very like micro budget, right, because I walked away from Vertigo Films and told them really to shove it all, and because I wanted to do my own work, because I didn't trust their editing, and it was too controlling, too manipulative. Because with a film director, what people have to understand is if you're a film director, everybody who works on that project, and there can be hundreds if you look at some of the big epics, but of all those people that are involved in the film, their duty is to make sure that the director gets his vision up on that screen. That doesn't happen. That does not happen, very rarely, unless you're Spielberg, right? So you're controlled by production, by people that are putting the budget in, the investors.
Producers.
The producers and whatever,
So did that have any child abuse theme in it then, Bill?
No, it didn't. Like I say, I really hadn't come forward, as an abuse victim, and the people in the film industry, they weren't aware of what was over my shoulder with my siblings, etc. But when I left them, and so I made this, I went and got £30,000 because the film budget I walked away from was £1.2 million.
Right.
Okay, my mates say to me, they say that took a lot of doing, Bill, you know what I mean? Right. Because I would have been of a millionaire status now, but it was a dirty business, and what's coming out now, it is, because the entertainment world is being shredded at the moment, Okay. But when I went out to New York, I took a small camera with me, and a small digital camera, and I started going onto the street. So I went into Harlem, and everybody said to me, don't go into Harlem, Bill, you know what I mean? I said, shut up, I come from Brixton, Peckham and Lewisham, you know what I mean? We've got guns on the street there as well. And it's so I went there and I started shooting some documentary. I was at the poor people, the Hispanics and that, and whoever was poor. And I saw some horrific things out there. And then when I came back to London, I done the same comparison on the streets of London. When we was in New York, the majority of people on the street, almost all of them, apart from two, I think, they were black people. In London, it was white people, and we only found one black person in London living on the street. So
only one?
Only one. That's all we saw was one person, one black person on the street. But whatever that is,
So, but that still wasn't covering child abuse.
No, I still wasn't covering child abuse. Right. But then when I came back to London and I started talking to the people, they started talking about child abuse. They started talking about child abuse to me. That a lot of these people that are living on the street were abuse victims, whether they're alcoholics, whether they're drug addicts, whatever, they were abuse victims. And then it went bing. And when I looked at the film Billy and Lily, because I had to spoof that because we're saying outrageous things in it, I'm really having a go at the Queen, the monarch, establishment.
Right, so just step back, Bill. The first film was called what? Give me the name of that. The 90-minute one that you filmed in New York.
That was called Lunatic.
Lunatic.
Yeah, but I'd also made another piece of drama after that, before.
Cool. And that was that called?
And that was called The Blunderers. That was about a 50-year-old black recovering crack cocaine addict, and a 50-year-old white recovering alcoholic.
Right.
So I directed the film, wrote the film, and I also played the recovering alcoholic, which is what I was at the time. I was a recovering alcoholic. I hadn't had a drink for 17 years. But when we won the award in America, and I shot the documentary footage, and some black people, when I went down to Harlem, I showed them it on the camera, and they started crying about. They were just looking at it off the LCD screen, off the camera, the raw footage, the rushes as we call them, and they started crying, and they started saying to me, "Be careful," and you know. Right. But it was making that, and then coming back, doing a comparison in London for the people living on the street. And by the way, when we was in New York, we did win for Lunatic Best International Feature.
Right.
But the distribution companies all started going bust.
Right.
So there was no money in it.
Right.
So when I started looking at the footage of Billy and Lily go to New York, I thought, I like this documentary filmmaking. Right. You don't need great big budgets to do it.
Right.
And you take complete control, and then you become an investigative filmmaker rather than just a filmmaker, you know. And then I acquired a press pass. I couldn't believe they gave me one, actually. Right. And then that started opening doors for me, and I could take a few liberties on the street, you know, and with people who I'm talking to.
Okay.
But it was then at that point when I came back to London, started shooting footage of people on the street, and the child abuse came to the forefront, that I started to disclose to my family the full extent of my family's abuse, because I you know, I've got sisters. I've got one sister that was being raped, more or less, from the age of very early ages, like we're talking about 9, 8, 10. Okay. You know, and then my brothers, I found that they had been sexually abused in different places. I mean, one of my brothers, he went to, like I say, he went to a boarding school in Guildford, one of the most opulent areas in the country, very, very rich. He was outrageously abused there. Right. My sisters, you know, like I spoke to Ken Livingstone about a place called Shirley Oaks. My sister was abused by the swimming pool man, you know, and even now, the woman who abused me there and used to give me regular beatings with a wooden spoon. Right. I can remember I was so small because she used to get me to peel the potatoes in one of the cottages, as they call them. Right. Her name was Miss Boland, and I believe that she's on her way out now. I think she's got cancer. But I can remember peeling potatoes and standing on a chair, that's how small I was, at the sink. And I would be so terrified, because if I looked around and she saw me and she was only in the next room, she would come and attack me. She would attack me, this woman. And she was in charge of probably about 15 children in this cottage. And she would really attack me. But her favourite thing was to creep up while I was doing the potatoes and hit me on the back of the legs. Bang, 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 as quick as she could and as hard as she could. And I would sort of collapse back, and she'd grab me up and say, "Get on with it, get on with it." She'd inspect the potatoes. If there was one eye, if I left an eye in a potato, I would get a beating. Right. Yeah. You know?
All right, Bill, well, let's just come back to the film. So what was the first major film that you've done regarding the child abuse?
Right, well, because Billy and Lily Go to New York, that was a documentary, that was pure documentary, but because we were saying such things that weren't being exposed then about, you know, the royal family and how we are being manipulated, especially now. I mean, come on, you've only got to look at the royal family. They've never been so predominant. You know, they're trying to get the Queen to come forward and all love her. You can't love them. You can't love these people, because they are living on a completely different planet to us. And you'll know all about it.
We'll come on to that. So yeah, back to the film, Bill. So what was the name of the it wasn't Sun, Sea and Satan. That wasn't the first one, was it, or was it?
Yeah, the first serious documentary I made was Sun, Sea and Satan.
Okay.
I'd done news reports before that, you know, and I'd gone to different rallies, etc. But when I went over to the island of Jersey to make Sun, Sea and Satan, that was I'll give you an example. When we went over there, we were staying at the Royal Golf Course, and we were staying in a bungalow on the edge of the Royal Golf Course. Now there was myself, my camerawoman Lily, and a guy called Darren. Okay, we can't give his second name because he was only a kid then. He was only 18 years of age, but he had a brilliant mind and he was great with notes, which is very important, as you know, when you're making documentary films. And he had a lot of street about him, so he's well savvied up. But Lily and I, we had to go over there first, and then he was to follow us out for security reasons, and he was staying in a different place. Even though we all wound up in the same place. But when you get off the plane at Jersey, you will see plaques everywhere from different lodges, different Masonic lodges, come and have lunch with us, come and do this with us, come and do that with us. All right. So it's so predominant. Right. When we went out there, Lily said to me one day, she said, "Have you been in my room, Bill?" And I said, "No." She said, "Well, some of my stuff's been moved." I said, "What do you mean it's been moved?" She said, "Well, my perfumes and things like that, it's just been moved in my bag. It looks like someone's been going down my bag." So I got Darren, and I said, "Darren, you ever been in?" He said, "No, never been in a room," because he wasn't even staying with us at the time. So what I'd done, in the wedge of the door, as you close the door, the front door, the front room door for the lounge and to all the bedrooms, we started wedging a matchstick in, very low down. So if you open that door, that matchstick was on the floor. Now, 3 occasions we went back after shooting footage and being followed on Jersey, and the matchsticks had gone. Now, we had requested no cleaners. We were guaranteed that no one would go into that bungalow because of we had sensitive equipment in there, etc. So that was part of the deal when we went there. And I went and asked the guy who owned it. I said, "Has anyone been in there?" And he said, "No, why?" I said, "Well, you know, we've had a couple of things, you know, maybe we've misplaced them and we thought they'd gone missing." I said, "And my driving licence has disappeared." So he said, "No, I'm sorry, I can't help you, but I can assure you that no one's been in there." And it was, I got a phone call from my sister. She was going to come out there. And she said, "Billy, I can't come out there." She was crying. She said, "I've had a letter from the House of Commons, and I want you to see it." And I said, "Can you read it to me?" She said, "No, I haven't got it with me at the moment." She said, "No, I don't want to read it over the phone." So I said, "Okay." I said, "Look, don't worry, darling." I calmed her down. I said, "We'll be home soon." I said, I sent Maria, I phoned England, and I said to Maria, my wife and producer, I said, "Will you go around and see Diana, etc., and calm her down?" When we came back, and we edited the film, it was released, as I say, to all the major broadcasting companies. And within 2 weeks, my sister was found dead in her apartment.
So what did the letter say that she got from the government then?
She didn't say. She didn't want to say on the phone.
All right. And so you've never seen that letter?
No, I've never seen that now.
All right. Okay. And that was Sun, Sea and Satan. And can people watch that online?
Yeah, I mean, all of our work, you know, people can go...
Just give the domain name, Bill, so where people can watch all of these films.
Just go into www.piemeshfilms.com and you'll see all our work up, and we put all our work up for free, because when the distribution companies collapsed, and when you're trying to sell DVDs, and they're not selling because of the recession, and you've got important work and information like we've got, and you've got a background like I've got, it's not about the money, as the song says. It does not matter about the money. So I said to everyone at Pie Films, listen, we just got to put them up for free, because it is imperative that this information gets out. So that is how we survive. We survive from donations, from you know, wonderful sort of empathetic supporters, you know, and we still do sell a few DVDs, because people, if they watch our work online, sometimes it buffs, and so if you want to watch it, I'd like to say that to you, if you want to watch it, we do sell the DVDs, you know, and all that money goes back in to our work. Sure.
Now I just want to ask you, have you got any inkling as to what might have been in that letter that she was referring to on the phone?
No, I haven't. I haven't got any inkling at all what it was about, but she was terrified.
But she was financing you to make that film?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So she's getting a letter from the government, and you're making a film in Jersey about child abuse.
And she's got a letter off the government, yeah.
Right.
And like I say, her cause of death was unascertained. But, and you can also, if you go to Pie Films and look on the blog, you will see the full timeline of what happened, you know, around my sister.
In that particular film, you come across a house. If I'm getting this right, where there's a bust of a young child in there, and it's performing an obscene act. So it's like a grotesque statue that you get very
oral sex.
Yeah, you get
on a penis.
Yeah. So you got in the film. It's obviously completely freaking you out, and you sort of
lose it.
Yeah, a little bit. You lose it, and you drive away, and you're getting all upset and everything. And this isn't a criticism, because obviously it's affecting it. What for
So
me?
I'm not taking it as a criticism. Don't worry about it.
I would have just knocked on the door and shoved the camera in the face of whoever answered the door and say, "What's that doing there? Can you explain that?"
Yeah, but
it's so affecting you.
Yeah, but would you have done that? Would you have done that, Rich, if you'd done the matchstick trick?
Yeah.
If you've got the phone call from your sister and the strange persona on the island, and when you see statues like that, and they're only, we timed it in the vehicle at 30 miles an hour, it was 2 minutes and 20 seconds from Haute de la Grande. 2 paedophilic statues, there was 2 of them there, and there was also a chimpanzee there as well, and chimpanzee is black magic.
Right.
Yeah, the dark forces, like the Queen was talking about. So I had been there when we discovered that 4 days. I was out there for 2 weeks. Now, to sort of start exposing things at that point was very, very dangerous. And when you see the film, people, you'll see the fear in the residents, you know, that inhabit Jersey, and how frightened they are to talk about Haute de la Grande.
What about submitting? Because if you were to get that letter, that would tell you a lot, surely.
Well, I don't know where that letter is.
Right. Have you tried a freedom of information request? I know it sounds probably.
Well, when I came back and I found out, you know, after I found out that my sister was dead, I was absolutely devastated. And when I got back to England, I received a phone call from my sister, and I said to her, I was in an editing suite, and it was very late. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning in Whitstable in Kent, and she phoned me, and she was in a bit of a state, and she had a couple of people there, and I can't say their names at the moment, but I said to her, "What's your security?" And she said to me, "I can't guarantee my security unless you get your arse back here."
Right.
So I said, "I'll be back tomorrow." Right. But she was dead.
Right. So you don't know of anyone that she might have shown that letter to? I know these are probably obvious.
I know we've already looked at all that,
but
but we don't know. But we do have people that we're looking closely at. You know, there was a woman involved with her, right. And but then it found out that this woman was supposed to be a friend, and then we found out that she was working for my sister's solicitors, because my solicitor had a case running for 7 years about her abuse. Because my other brothers and some of my other brothers and sisters have taken, you know, the Home Office to court and received compensation. Right. But
all right, Bill. We'll go for another break, and we'll be talking more about some of Bill Maloney's films after this.